Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Page Turners podcast. So, if you guys have watched me before, if you follow me on Instagram, or you've seen my videos before, you know that I used to have the handle Knit Crits, and I had the Knit Crits podcast, and you may be wondering what's going on. So, I shared over on my Instagram, which is now Pearls and Page Turners, and I shared how I made Knit Crits pretty much spontaneously when I first started knitting because I wanted to join the knitting community and I wanted to be able to communicate with everyone and like get to know everyone in the knitting community, and that was the first handle that I thought of. And for a while now I really felt like I identified with that handle. I got the name because I was knitting. I'm really into Dungeons and Dragons and I thought it'd be a great combo. I still do think so. I still love Dungeons and Dragons, but it wasn't something that really spoke to me and what I wanted with my little space on the internet. So I've decided to rebrand, change the name, and here we are. So not much is really changing. I'm still knitting as much as I have been, but I really wanted to incorporate more my love of reading. It's something that I've always loved doing. It's been my like lifelong hobby, and in the last 2 years, I feel like it's really come back in full swing. I've read so many books this year alone, and I want to be able to share that with you guys more. And I felt like I wanted to do that when I had Knit Crits, but it didn't feel right, and hence where the page turners part of the handle. But welcome to the first episode. This is now just a general podcast, not just a knitting podcast, so I hope you guys enjoy. I feel like there are a lot of knitters who are also readers and readers who are also knitters, so I am excited to bring together both my favorite worlds. But anywho's, let's get on with the podcast. So how this is gonna work for now, until I feel like changing it up, is the first half will be a traditional knitting podcast format, and then the back half I'll be talking about what I've read, what I'm currently reading, what I plan to read. I realistically know I will probably only have enough content to do a podcast once a month. So I'll probably do what I read last month, what I'm currently reading, and what my TBR is for the upcoming month. And I can't wait to share that with you guys. So let's get on with it. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is my Rumble Raglan by What Lydia Makes on Instagram. I love this. This has been quite a project. I started this very abruptly in April, about a month before the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I knew I wanted to knit something for the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I originally tried knitting the Ingrid sweater. I knew I was gonna finish the Ingrid sweater by then, and so I changed it up and got yarn for the Rumble Raglan because I knew it was something I wanted in my wardrobe, and I started it. Didn't finish it for Maryland Sheep and Wool, but I finished it nonetheless. So follow me on Instagram. You know that none of my ends are woven in. I hope to change that soon, but hey, if I can tuck it in, who's gonna know? But this is knit in Barocco Ultra Wool Fine in the color, I forget what the white is called, but it's their white. Their blue is Forget Me Not, and then the orange is Butternut. So I love it. It's wonderful. Here we are. And it's good because this week has been really warm, so it's nice getting to wear some knitwear when I can't wear long sleeves. But yes, so I only really have one finished object for you guys, but I'm very, very proud of it. So I'm glad I have a finished object, really, and it is these pair of socks. This is the self-sharpening colorway from Tiny Human. It's called Very Vintage Christmas. She sold these last year as factory seconds, which honestly, like, I've seen her original colorway and I can't tell the difference. So I know she's always shared that she's a bit nitpickier about what she sells on her shop and then what become factory seconds, but I am very much happy with how these turned out. I did a 20 row slip stitch heel. I normally had been doing 16 rows. However, I felt like it was still slipping off my heel. So I decided to lengthen it, and it really does make a difference. I can tell that it fits a lot better and it doesn't like slip off my heel as I'm like walking. So that will be my go-to moving forward. Yeah, I'm so happy. So I had two 50-gram balls that I was knitting from because I was knitting them simultaneously. I did cast these on last year at Christmas, so I'm very excited that I will have them for this Christmas season. I will definitely be wearing these on Christmas Day. But I had two 50-gram balls and I didn't realize it, but I wound them up so they were going in the opposite stripe order. But I still think it's pretty fun. This has definitely taught me to not be so picky about having identical socks. Plus, I feel like when you just like look at it, you can't even tell initially. But yeah, I love these. I knit these. I did the cuff with 64 stitches and then immediately decreased to 60 stitches, and I had 60 stitches the rest of the way. 60 stitches is all I need for my foot on 2.25 millimeter needles. However, for the cuff, I always feel like I do need the extra 4 stitches just to help get it over my heel. But yep, that's my only finished project. To stick on the sock topic, I am still working on my husband's socks. This is also from Tiny Human Knits. This is the Balrog of Morgoth colorway from her Lord of the Rings collection. I believe this is from her Fellowship of the Rings collection, so this was last year's. I'm almost done. I just need to have my husband try it on to see how much longer I have before I have to do the toe decreases. I am knitting this with 80 stitches on 2.25 millimeter needles. Since I realized I have to like address new things because this is a new podcast. I love Laura of Tiny Human Knits. All her sock, like self-striping sock yarn is my favorite. I pretty much don't buy any more sock yarn from other dyers or like large brands unless I want to knit it for a garment, because I love her self-striping and I have an abundance of hers just because the way her colors like speak to me. So I love them. I love the way her yarn feels and I highly recommend her. My husband and I are actually celebrating our 1-year wedding anniversary this year, later this month. And to celebrate, we didn't go on our honeymoon right after we got married. So we postponed it and we were doing our honeymoon for our 1-year anniversary, and we were going to Iceland, which is warming my knitter's heart. So I have been abundantly working on getting knitwear made so we have some hand knits to wear while we're there, because I've looked at the weather forecast and it's going to be very cold. I think there are like 3 to 4 days while we're there that it's expecting to snow. So I'm very excited. I can't wait. I'm working on getting as many pairs of socks knit for us so we can wear them while we're there. My husband already has, I believe, 4 pairs. So this will be his 5th one. And I have 4 pairs now as well. And I'm working on another, which, oh, that's my other whip. I have a half finished object. I have another pair of socks. I knit these are from Nomadic yarns from her Halloween collection. I knit this in 2021 and I never finished it. So I finally got around to starting the second sock. So I have the cuff and then I just need to knit it. So I'm hoping I can get this sorted soon so I can have as many pairs of socks for us for when we go. Those are my first 2 whips. And now to get into a crazy story. So like I shared for the Sheep and Wool Festival, I wanted to wear the Ingrid sweater. I started it and I knew I wasn't gonna finish it, and then a whole lot more happened. So it is still a whip technically, but I only have 10 rows left. And here is this beauty. Oh, wow. She is a beauty. So if you haven't followed any of my adventures with this sweater, I will share. This is knit with 2 strands of Nutiden, in the color Dis, which is a fall 20 or her September 2021 colorway collection. And then in Explore Knits, Suri yarn in the color Fiadh from her Ireland collection. And let me tell you, I was playing Yarn Chicken the moment I got to the sleeves. I honestly was playing Yarn Chicken the moment I was on the body. I had knit up to the double ribbing in the pattern, and then I had started the 1x1 ribbing, and I knew I was already in trouble when I saw how much yarn I had left. I had 500 grams, so I had 5 plates, and I was like, let me start my the sleeves, because I need to see where I can go with the sleeves to make sure I can knit both. I knit the first sleeve, but again stopped at the 1x1 ribbing. I had stopped right at the end of the 2x2 ribbing, and I started the second sleeve. And I had to put it in time out for a bit because it was really stressing me out. Like going into both sleeves knowing you're going to be playing Yarn Chicken is very disheartening, and it was very tiring. So I took a break from it, then I went back, finished the second sleeve, and I got to a point at the 1x1 ribbing again where I was like, okay, I need to figure something out, this was a week and a half ago, 2 Mondays ago. And I was like, okay, before, I believe I was on the mock cable portion of the second sleeve, and I was like, okay, I had not bound off my first sleeve, and I told myself, let me just do the 1x1 ribbing. Like, I really want to make it happen. I know that's what I want for this sweater. So I did it. I did the 1x1 ribbing, I bound off, and then I continued with the second sleeve, and I knew I was gonna run out because I still had the collar to do, which I was gonna do the double folded collar, and I still had the body that I wanted to do. And the knitting community saved my life. So I reached out to some people. I reached out to Sharon of Ray Knits on Instagram, and I reached out to 2 people I found on Ravelry who had this colorway stashed on their account. And I reached out to all of them and asked it. Like, I knew that none of their stuff said it was for sale, but I really just wanted to be able to finish this project, and if any of them would be willing to help me out. I actually reached out to more people on Ravelry, but I heard back from 2 from Ravelry. And they were all so kind and they were willing to help. So I bought some plates from them because I just really didn't know how much I was gonna need. I wanted to be able to knit the full pattern as it stated. And I'm pretty sure I should have only knit it with 1 strand of Nutiden. I did not meet gauge. This is much larger than it should be. But I love the fabric that it's made, so I'm happy that I still did it, and I'm happy that the knitting community came to my rescue so I could finish this project. So thank you to those who have helped me. But like I said, it did turn out much bigger than intended. So this is actually going to be a sweater for my husband. And then I'm gonna wear it as well because it is a nice oversized on me, but it fits my husband much better, which is great because I did want to always knit a sweater for him. However, a sweater his size is just so many stitches, and I didn't have the strength. So the fact that this was knit for him in the end with a stitch count for my size, which I knit this in the second size by PetiteKnit, I believe. I'm pretty sure I always knit her second size. So, you know, here we are. I did end up doing the folded collar. I had seen people do the double, because it's supposed to be a turtleneck, so it's like double ribbing a row of the eyelets and then 1x1 ribbing. I saw PetiteKnit make a blue one, and hers is folded in 1x1 ribbing only. Before that, I'd only seen the folded 2x2, and I like 1x1. I like knitting 1x1 more. So that's what I ended up doing, and I really loved it, which the collar really does make a sweater, because I didn't do the collar until towards the end, and it was just this gaping hole, and even on my husband it looked very boat neck, but once I knit the collar and sewed it down, it was perfect. So he loves it. I just have 6 rows of the 1x1 ribbing to do on the bottom, and it will be finally off my needles. So I'm excited, and I'm hoping my husband will wear this when we go to Iceland. that is another project. And like I said, I had heard back. I really only needed maybe 50 grams of the Nutiden to be able to finish everything I need, because I have officially finished all of my original yarn and I've started on the yarn that was sent to me. But because people had reached out and they were so willing to help me, I took the opportunity to buy the plates from them because they were willing, and I'm so thankful. And I want to make a sweater for me that definitely fits my size, so I can match with my husband, because I know he's gonna want. I know he's gonna want to wear it when we go to Iceland. So I want to wear a sweater with him in the same yarn colorway. And we're hoping to go on an excursion to see the Northern Lights. And the excursion we got, they take professional photos of you while you're there with the Northern Lights on display. So I thought that would be a great opportunity to get some photos done. And I decided to knit myself a ranunculus because I know it's gonna be fast. And with how much yarn I have, I knew that this was gonna be good enough. And I only have a short sleeve ranunculus, and I have wanted to knit a long sleeve one. And the way this feels, I wish you guys could feel this yarn with the Suri and the Nutiden. It feels like a cloud. So this is how far I am. I just have one section left of the yoke, and then it's the raglan increases and then the body. So we are moving very, very fast. I'm very happy. I'm knitting this in one strand of Nutiden and one strand of the Suri. So yes, I feel like I'm just talking so fast and I'm so excited. I just have so many things to talk to you guys about. But that is, I'm forcing myself to knit the ribbing on my husband's sweater because this ranunculus is all I want to knit on because it's moving so fast. And I've knitted before, and it's so wild because the ranunculus was my first, like, I think, like, official pattern, like, knit pattern garment. And it was so hard. The ranunculus was partly what made me create my Instagram, because I wanted to get help from people because I was having such a struggle with the cast on, like knitting in the round. I'd never knit in the round before, and it was so confusing for me. And it's so wild because now I messed up on my first one, where you'll see that there's like this cute like diamond pattern with eyelets. My second row, which is the 2 eyelets, are shifted incorrectly. So everything I think except for the first 3 are not aligned. And I never minded, like, I love it. It's one of my first garments and I still wear it, and only I can really tell. But it's so interesting because reading the pattern now, having knit for 2 years, it's like, oh, this is so easy for me now. Like, I don't know why I was struggling so much. So it's just really fun revisiting a pattern because I haven't re-knit anything other than like vanilla socks. So it's very cool to see like my growth in my knitting comprehension. But yes, I have just one more whip to share with you guys. I signed up to do a test knit for the Petite knitter for her Mudo sweater. And she decided very last minute, at like the last week of the test knit, that she was going to release the pattern a week early. And she told us we didn't need to finish the test in time because she told us within 24 hours she was going to release the pattern early. So she just told us to share all our notes with her and that it was okay with her. So she was just going to release it anyway. And I knew I was going to have to knit to the very last day to be able to finish it. So I'm glad that I didn't like have to rush myself, and I've been able to like take a break. But I've gotten very far, and this is also one that I'm trying to get finished for Iceland. So it is this beauty. I had a lot of troubles with this. You'll notice for me, I feel like if I don't restart a sweater twice, I'm just wrong and I haven't noticed it. I've had to restart the sweater 3 times. One because I think I restarted 4 times. I made my own short rows because the pattern originally didn't have short rows, and I knew I wanted them because I prefer the way that fits on me. But then she released her own short rows, and then so I ripped back and I reknit it. But then the way her short rows were done, I wasn't a fan of. And she, as a designer with her testers, is very friendly with modifications. She likes to view her patterns as suggestions more than rules. So I'm very thankful for that. So I ran it again. And then I realized that I wasn't meeting Gauge once I got to the color work portion. So I reknit it again, adding an extra strand of yarn for both colors. So yeah, 4 times. It was wild. I never want to restart this sweater again, but I'm glad to have it in my wardrobe once it's done. So it's knit in, the main color is knit in 1 strand of Hillesvag Ask in a beige colorway, with a strand of Neighborhood Fiber Company's mohair in, I believe this is Federal Hill, and Jaggerspun Zephyr cone in the color Taupe, which I believe this is just 100% wool. And the contrast color is Hillesvag Ask in Maroon, and then 2 strands of Neighborhood Fiber Company's mohair. They're all DC based names because she's a DC based dyer. What is that colorway? I'm gonna have to find it out for you guys. I'll have all the information down below in the info box, but that is the pattern. I will say I highly recommend this for people who have never knit color work and want to have their first project be a garment. I knew when I signed up for this that the reason I did sign up for it is because I knew that the color work pattern was going to be very easy. I've knit a variety of color work projects, and I find that shorter repeats are what I prefer just because it's easy for me to remember and it's easy for my hands to just like knit through it. And even for experienced knitters, like if you just want a peaceful color work sweater, this is one of those. This is for the first time. I normally knit continental, and I've knit all my color work fully continental. I'll hold 2 strands on my left hand, but I wanted to test something out, and I think this might be what I do moving forward with my color work projects. I knit 2-handed color work, which I did actually really like a lot more. It was less strenuous on my left hand. So I really enjoyed that, and I highly recommend if you feel like if you knit continental and you feel like you might be straining too much to like keep both yarns at the right tension, having knitting English and continental for color work, I highly recommend. I knit the contrast color English style, and I held the main color continental. I just have, I believe, 2 inches left, 2 inches left for the body, and then it's time for the ribbing and then the sleeves. So hopefully I can do that soon. I would like to get this done before Iceland, but it's not a major need for me. I will prioritize my Ranunculus before I prioritize this. But I will have that done this season. So I don't really have any acquisitions for you guys. Because I'm saving all my yarn buying for Iceland. I'm very excited because it'll just be more like where I live, European yarns aren't as readily available. You can't just buy them in any store, and I really do prefer like European, like more natural wool yarns than like superwash yarns, which I feel are the more readily available out here in the States. So I'm saving all my fun times there. I think there's like 6 or 7 yarn stores that are going to be nearby where we're staying, and I want to visit them all. And I was thinking of recording, like showing you guys all the different yarn stores there. If you guys want to see me on my little yarn shopping adventures and recording to share with you guys, please comment down below and let me know. So since I don't have acquisitions, I did want to share with you guys what's next on top priority for my knitting. After I clear off what I want to have prepped that I've showed you guys, that's really what I want to focus on for Iceland. And then after that, for the rest of the knitting season, for this winter, fall and winter, I really want to just clear my needles. I have a lot of projects that are languishing, and I really want to clear them before the new year. And my top priority after all of this is to finish this. Jacket number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This was supposed to be a bunny knit that I did with Casey of Casey Knits last year, and I learned that I really am just a mood knitter and the mood was not hitting. So I got to the point where I joined the front and back. So I just had to finish the body and then I can knit in the round on the sleeves. I think the knitting back and forth at that time was just not for me. I have since gotten way more comfortable in knitting back and forth and don't mind it anymore. So I know that this is what I want to focus on next, to be able to get it off my needles and to have this garment in my wardrobe. It's something I really do want, like a nice oversized cardigan that I can just layer on top of other clothes to keep me warm when the days get chilly. But that's it for all the knitting content. So if you guys are only here for the knitting, thank you guys for joining. And if you're here for the reading or also for both, let's get on with it. So this past month in September, if I remember correctly, I read 10 books. The first one is the Veronica Speedwell series. I started the series in August, but I read 3 through 8 in September. I finished the series and I am impatiently waiting for book 9. I highly recommend this series. It is a historical fiction mystery with some romance. It's like a slow burn romance, which is my favorite. And by slow burn, it is across books slow burn. So I do love a good mystery, but I feel like the character relationships and character development are what really keep me going with the story, especially after book 1's plot twist. Just the fact that that keeps getting incorporated in every book is so good. So I highly recommend that. It's by Deanna Raybourn. I rated all of the books 4 stars except for 3, 5, and 8. I gave those 5 stars. Those are my favorite ones and I highly recommend them. I listened to them via audiobook, which is why I don't have the book to show you guys. I really enjoyed the reader, and that's why I decided to just listen to the whole series via audiobook. I feel that she really gives all the characters life. I will say I highly recommend, if you do listen to an audiobook, I listen to her at 1.3 times speed. I feel that at regular speed, the reader is a bit slower than how I prefer to listen to audiobooks. So 1.3 felt perfect for me, but highly recommend those. So I read 5 in September because I read 3 to 8. Then I read Neon Gods by Katie Robert on my Kindle. If I remember correctly, I gave this book a 4 stars. Let me see what my Goodreads tells me, which if you guys have Goodreads, add me. I would love to be your friend on Goodreads. What did I give Neon Gods? I gave it 4 stars, yes. So this is a Hades and Persephone retelling romance. I highly enjoyed it. I really like the Hades and Persephone story, and I really like I normally like Hades and Persephone's retellings. So this is a really fun book to read, and it was a really fun take on Olympus because it's technically in the real world, but like sequestered in its own magical place. It's very interesting. It's spicy. So I think like out of 5 chili peppers, I'd give it like 4 chili peppers spice level. So if you're not into that, I would probably steer away. It is, I feel, a significant part of the story, but it doesn't deter from the plot, but I did enjoy it. It was very interesting seeing the interactions between Hades and Persephone. The next book I read on my Kindle is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. I had really high hopes for this, mainly because it is a 600-page book. It is a standalone. It's not going to become a series. Oh, Neon Gods is part of the Dark Olympus series, and they're interconnected standalones, and each book covers like different characters in Olympus. I do want to read the rest of the series, but I'm prioritizing some other things, so I will be putting that on hold, but highly recommend. Nocticadia is a standalone 1 book. It's like over 600 pages, and I'd heard good things about it. It is also a spicy book, but I don't know. I feel like the marketing, especially from Bookstagram made it seem it was going to be spicier and that there were more things going on. But honestly, I felt like there were a lot of lulls in the story. And I found myself just skipping full pages. So I don't know, maybe it's just not for me. It is a dark gothic romance, and maybe gothic romances just aren't for me. So I'll just put that out there. You take that how you will. I will say the probably like last 100 pages really ramped up, and I did enjoy that like once I got there. But the first 500, I was like, where's this going? And like one of the main scenes that like was advertised a lot happened in the first 100 pages, and then like not much substance in between. So I don't know. Those are just my personal opinions. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know. You know, I will say read up the trigger warnings, because there are some things that personally for me left me feel a little unsettled. So look for them to make sure you take care of you and you don't put yourself in a situation that you don't like. Next up on my read list, I read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Okay. I got this because I'd heard good things about it on Bookstagram. I'm glad I read it. I am. I will say I wish there was a little bit more to it. So this is supposed to be like a cozy fantasy romance. I feel like, okay, if this is a book that you want to read, skip like until you stop seeing this cover, because this is probably all I'm going to say about this. I did give this book 3.5 stars, and I will be reading the rest of the series, but the caveats, skip until you stop seeing this book on your screen. For a book that's called Assistant to the Villain, you don't really see her being much of an assistant to the villain. And I did like the plot twist. However, I feel like it would have been more fun had the main female character been helping the villain, like do funny like little things like crashing a hero's wedding, or there's like on the map in the front of the book, where is it? There's like lunch idea, mermaid sushi. No one even addresses the existence of mermaids. Or like steel street signs. That would be fun. Unicorn hunting grounds. No one addresses unicorns. So I don't know. It is a cozy fantasy because it's very low stakes. However, I would have liked more villainy than what happened, and it ends on the biggest cliffhanger. So this released in September. I finished it in September, and the next book isn't coming out till September of 2024. So I have to wait a whole year to see it, and then I know it's a 3-book series, so which doesn't release till September 2025. So I feel like I'm never gonna feel closure until 2025, and I just have to forget about this until the next book comes, because all I can think about is that cliffhanger. But yeah, that was the next book. And then I finally started the Throne of Glass series, and this is what I'm prioritizing. So I've read the first 4 books in ACOTAR, so A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of War and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight. I read those 4. Didn't read A Court of Silver Flames, and I've read Crescent City 1. Haven't read Crescent City 2. I have pre-ordered Crescent City 3, and I know I'm going to want to read it. So I've made this like plan from September till the release of Crescent City 3 of all the books that I need to read left, because of just everything that's going on and what we feel like is going to happen with book 3. I want to read all of her backlog to be ready. So I'm reading Throne of Glass right now, and then I'm going to read Silver Flames. And then in December, my sister and I are going to read Crescent City 2, so it's fresh in our brain and we're ready for the 3rd book. But I read Throne of Glass, the first book. I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely could see why a lot of people say Throne of Glass is their favorite series. I am slowly seeing it potentially become mine. I love the female main character, Selena. She's just a badass woman, and I love it. So yes, 4 stars on that. Then I read book 2, Crown of Midnight. I gave this one 5 stars. I really like the progression of the characters. The plot of the first one is Selena is taken to be part of a tournament to become the king's champion, and there's multiple POVs for all of these. I don't really want to get too deep into it because I don't want to give out any spoilers, but that's the plot. And then book 2 just continues on from after that tournament and getting to develop the characters more. But I did give this one 5 stars. I did like the story behind this one more. The unraveling of the world is very interesting in this book, and I really did enjoy it. I am currently reading book 3, Air of Fire, and this book, when I'm not reading this, I'm thinking about when I'm next reading it, because Sarah J. Maas has perfected her POV switches where all the characters aren't all in the same place doing the same thing. There's like some that you have, like, not all of them have even met each other, but they're all doing different things in different places, and you're not even sure how they're fully connected yet, but you're like deep in one plot, and then I'm so deep invested, and she completely cuts you off and moves you to a different POV, and you're like, I don't even know if I really care about this POV right now, but then she just knows what she's doing, and you're invested in that one now, and then she cuts you off there and moves to another one. So this one is on its way to being a 5-star read. So if you are reading Through a Glass or have read the series, please comment down below and tell me what you think, because it's slowly taking over my life. And then the last book that I'm currently reading is Mirror Sight by Kristen Britton. This is part of the Green Rider series. The series my friend got me into late last year, and it is right now a 7-book series. There's 1 novella, a second novella is being published, and I know that the author is working on book 8, which I believe is the last book. They are starting to become tomes. I don't read, well, I read the first 2 physically, and then I read book 3 half audio, half physical, but I'm at a point now where I'm only listening to the audiobooks because they're tomes, and I have a commute to work, and it works out because this is book 5. Book 5 and 6 are 28 hours long of audio, and book 7 is 30 hours. So I have lots of audio. I'm never gonna run out, basically. So, but I highly recommend. The book is about the female main character, Kerrigan, who ends up becoming a messenger for the king, and just all her adventures in between. And the plot has gotten so deep, and it's hard for me to really explain it at this point for Mirror Sight if you haven't read it, but it's some crazy twists have happened, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I listened to book 4 early this year, like February, I feel, at the latest, and I'd taken a pause. Just the cliffhanger that ended on book 4, I was just emotionally like, what's happening? And I had to take a break, I had to take a pause, but I'm glad I'm back. It feels like home. I really like the reader for the series, and I highly, highly recommend this as well. Quite an investment in time, but if you like high fantasy, if you like a strong female character, there is a subplot of romance, but it's like a subplot. So, but like also like one that the fans are all invested in. I highly, highly recommend this book as well. So those are the 2 books that I'm currently reading. My TBR for the rest of the month is to finish out Throne of Glass. I need to read Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. I feel like I will get through it. I think I can do it. I may not finish Kingdom of Ash this month, but I think I can get through the next 3. And then if I finish Mirror Sight, I will start the audiobook for the 6th book, Firebrand. But that's it. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're knitting while watching this, please let me know. Comment down below what you guys are knitting on. I'd love to see when people comment the patterns that they're knitting, because it's usually a pattern I've never heard of, so I love going on Ravelry and checking it out. Tell me what's on what are you currently reading? What's on your TBR for the rest of the year? Are you prepping for Crescent City 3? Are you doing a full reread? I am not rereading the books that I've already read because I don't have the time, but I know some people are doing a full reread. So let me know what you guys are reading, what you guys are knitting on, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Bye!